Hello, my beautiful motorheads. Welcome to FÉROCE, where we inspire you to live fiercely. Have you ever thought about what you should do with all that old GoPro footage you have from riding your bike? Or have you ever listened to a podcast and thought to yourself, you know, I could do that. I want to share with you a seminar I did for both Magac and DirtDaze called The Easy Way to Podcast and Blog. I hope this talk inspires you to start that YouTube channel or that podcast. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for coming. I know that some of you want to go off and do other things after this. So my question is, do you guys want to or need to be anywhere at a certain time? Because I can make this as long or as short as possible. Like the movie. What? Okay, all right. Let me check time. Did somebody give me the time? All right, let's do this. As some of you may know, podcasting and blogging is on the rise, and we do really cool things that people find interesting. And we happen to ride motorcycles, which is just part of what we do. I'm Annick, and I have a podcast called FÉROCE. Before I got into podcasting, I have been in the motor industry for a long time. I've been riding for over 25 years. I decided to get my motorcycle license and then immediately got into racing bikes. And I road raced for a number of years and then retired. But yeah, come on in. Oh, hey guys. Good. Thanks for coming. All right, cool. So from road racing, I ended up meeting a lot of people. And I also started doing bike nights, hosting bike nights. And then from there, I also got into moto journalism, where I would do gear and bike reviews and also editorial articles about riding in general. And then I decided that I was kind of watching everything kind of happening over the years and knowing that video was getting more and more popular. And I had already been doing other things, like besides the motorcycle stuff, which was not full-time for me. I was also in the health and wellness world and also in sales and marketing. So I was trying to figure out okay, I did other shows, but then I was like, why am I not doing something about motorcycling? This is crazy. This is my passion. This is what my biggest community and what I do the most of. So in 2018, I was like, all right, I got to make this happen. Everybody's saying it's going to video. I got to get on this train and figure it out. And that was great, having this idea and thinking about it. But it wasn't until 2024 that I actually started the podcast. And I want to make a really big point of this because 6 years went by. And as things happen in life, a lot of things can happen, right? We had this thing called the pandemic that totally derailed pretty much everybody's life. And I, unfortunately, all that was going on, jobs changed for me, and it just became one thing after another, and I didn't start the podcast. Well, during 6 years, technology totally took off, and things completely changed, because had I started in 2018, I would have had much more of a following at this point than I currently do. So I want to share with you guys some podcast data because it is really interesting. We hear about this thing podcasting and people are doing it and it seems like it's all around. But you're how much of the market or people really involved with podcasting? So there are over 500 million worldwide listeners of podcasts. It's a good number of people, right? But here's something that's really interesting in that 34% of Americans listen to 8 podcasts a week. Now, that's a lot of listening time, right? Even if you don't currently listen to a podcast, this thing is happening where people are commuting or people are working out or they're passively listening to podcasts all the time. The other thing that's interesting is how much money is being put into this. And I want to bring a point up is that, we can say that we do things for passion and it's not necessarily about getting paid, but doing this costs money. And it's good to know that there are options to balance out how much money you are putting out to make this passion or this show happen, knowing that there is revenue that is available to be made. Now, 2018, even before that, when I was getting the idea, I did a ton of research because I wanted to see at the time how many people were doing motorcycle podcasts. And I made this list. And I put down the dates and the episodes, and like I really went into it. Here's the thing, is that 90% never go past 3 episodes. And like I was like, that is crazy. Like, why is that? Well, it gets worse, because 10% that continue don't even get past 20. And then after 21, you're in the top 1%. Well, guess what? I just made 35 episodes. Thank you. I didn't think much of it until I saw these stats, and then I got like super pumped. I was like, oh yeah, all right, girlfriend, we got it going on here. So, yeah, no, let's do it. I'd rather it be interactive. It's far more interesting than me talking at you. With the stats? To what? Oh, well, okay, so I took a bunch of courses on podcasting, so some of these would show up in that. And then when I was preparing everything for doing this seminar, then I went and made sure that this was like the most up-to-date information. So I just did a bunch of like AI searches. Okay. So it's a good thing to ask, because like it could be old data, but this was current as of June. Okay. Now, let's talk about YouTube, right? Because like podcasting is happening, but as I said earlier, video is huge, right? It's like the one thing. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have everything, and a lot of it, or pretty much all of it, is all video based. YouTube pretty much kills it. Unlike podcasting, which has the almost 600 million listeners, they get it billion per month. So like really think about the scale there, right? So when you are thinking about like, where do I want to invest my time? Really starting to understand like some of these statistics, which are, they're a little bit boring, but when you get presented to them and somebody does it for you, it's like, oh, this is great, thank you. We think that, YouTubers have all these followers, we're used to like Mr. Beast or like some of these, like any of the like super big moto guys that you find, like Yammy Newbie, can never say his name, that they have all these subscribers, but actually, only 8% out of all of the billion have 1,000 subscribers. And then less than 1% make money on YouTube. And again, this is something to consider when getting into this, because it does cost money to do. It's not to discourage, but it's to put it into balance and understand, when you look at other creators and you look at their followings and you look at what you think of as successful, like the way we might be measuring it might be very different than like YouTube is measuring it, or a company's measuring it that you want sponsorship from. So I want to break down, because this is the most confusing thing to people and nobody really gets it, which is, and even sometimes I'm a little confused by it myself. What is the difference between a podcast, a YouTube podcast, and a vlog? They can overlap, and in my case, they absolutely do overlap, but they actually are 3 very different things. And I want to bring this up because sometimes, so I do an audio portion, so I'm on Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere that you can listen to audio, I'm on. But then I also have a YouTube channel, and I list FÉROCE as a podcast on YouTube. However, it's kind of a new thing to YouTube. And so people who are watching the podcast sometimes would like me to be doing more of a vlog style, because that's what they're used to actually watching. And that, in some cases, people find more interesting. So when I do just like the interviews, I consider that more of like just the podcast, where this guy, he has a magazine called, he's Moto Valley out of New York City, out of New York City. But like a vlog, the difference is it's more of a story. It's more like maybe like covering this event and actually like walking around, or like what I'm going to do this week or during this weekend is document my experience of coming here and kind of what I'm up to and the things that we're doing here. So that's more of a vlog style. But I'm bringing this up because when you decide to choose what you want to do, it is important to understand what you're actually doing, okay? Because if I'm only doing interviews, like that's one beast, versus if I'm trying to do like more vlog, story, like, or reviews on motorcycles, like that's a little bit of a different thing, or a very big different thing. So you want to understand in doing this, like, what's your time commitment and what are you good at? Are you good at doing interviews? Are you good at just talking about yourself? Do people just like you for who you are? Or do you have like specific knowledge about something that you want to share and people always go to you for? So with that, you want to pick a niche in that, okay, like what I thought was going to happen with FÉROCE has changed. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But in picking a niche, even with motorcycling, there's so many different facets of it, right? We're here at an ADV rally. So obviously you guys are all into adventure. But then we got road racing, we've got mini bikes, we've got ice racing, we've got like all these different segments, travel, which you were talking about earlier. When you pick a niche, then you become known for it and people start to associate you with that niche and then start to think about like, oh, this is the person I'm going to go to. This is the channel that I go to for this specific thing. And then how do you come up with content? Because the thing is like with the content is that you've got to come up, you have to be consistent doing this. And you have to come up with something once you pick a niche that you can show up repeatedly for and have enough content to share. Because if you've got this great idea, you're like, oh my God, do you know what, this week I'm so into wagon wheels. And I want to know everything about wagon wheels and like building wagon wheels, but like how many episodes of wagon wheels can you come up with? If you're an aficionado, maybe it could be years worth. Or, you need to make sure that whatever niche that you pick, you've got enough ideas around it. So once you start the podcast, what do you need? Well, whether you are doing just audio or the video, the number one thing is audio. Because if people cannot hear you and people cannot understand what you're saying, they will click off within seconds. It's not even like you just see the graph, you're like, wow, this is so bad. And you're annoyed, you're right? Because like even sometimes like we're trying to ride our bikes and we're listening to a podcast while we're riding. And if like the audio is not clear, you can't really hear it above the road noise. So you're just gonna move on to something else. And none of us, we think we're gonna go back to the episode, but we never do, we just move on. You need your phone. You don't need fancy equipment to start. Really, the thing is like, just start with your phone. Like I'm videoing right now and it's an old iPhone, it's a 13. And I have videoed everything on that so far. And you would be surprised at what kind of quality you can get from phone these days. And it doesn't need to be this big project of like, oh my God, I need to buy all this equipment. Now, if you want to vlog, an action camera is super helpful, especially for anyone doing motorcycle related stuff, right? Because that is what we find the most interesting is these on-bike point of view images. And then lastly, editing, which if you've got the funds, just hire somebody to do it. Like I said, this costs money, and I personally have been bootstrapping it and editing all my videos, and it takes a ton of time. I wish I was better at it than I am. I'm learning along the way, but it's really time consuming. And as we know, the tech changes really quickly. For instance, when I first started, I decided to use a program called Descript. Well, in the middle of trying to get out 3 episodes, they decided to do an upgrade that totally changed like where all the buttons were. And as anybody knows who's like trying to use tech or like move on, it's like, you're like, oh my God, like I cannot believe they're doing this. Like this should be so easy, and it's not. Despite saying all that, I just want to encourage, like if you're interested in doing all this, don't overthink it, just start doing it. Because the thing is that it is going to change and morph over time. You just need to start somewhere because you can learn all different things like how to get better at editing, a better camera. You could throw more money as things start happening towards increasing and doing different things with the show. And then lastly, like the biggest thing is consistency, because if you only do an episode, like they were talking about earlier, like most people don't get past 3 episodes. You've already won if you get to like 5, right? And like that's a pretty low bar. I mean, I think you guys probably have accomplished a lot more in life than like just trying to get like 5 things done. And to keep you motivated, because it is hard to get the episodes out. And like, for instance, like I'm here at this event. Honestly, I don't really want to have the video because I want to sit here and see my friends, talk to people, bullshit, go test ride, and do all this stuff. And to balance that out with trying to video and like get content is really hard. So like personally, like I always need to define like what's my expectation, like what do I want out of this weekend so that I'm not stuck the whole weekend thinking like, oh my God, the only thing I need to do is get really good video or like, my life's a bust. And then I like to set milestones. So like, for instance, I start to play the game where, for YouTube, it was like, okay, 500 followers. All right, 500 followers. Okay, got to my 500 followers. I'm like, yes, all right. Now I know that, the statistic is that 1,000 subscribers like puts me pretty high up at 8% within the YouTube world. I'm for it. And then I always have to celebrate the wins. And whenever I was doing life coaching, I'd always tell my clients this is like, it's so easy. You spend all this time working on projects. Like these guys put together this rally. You spend months getting the rally together, right? You do the rally, and then what? You're like, oh, I thought my life was gonna change. Like, everything's gonna go back to normal or all this. And we often skip over like celebrating that we like got this huge project done. So when I got my 1,000 subscribers, I bought myself a bottle of champagne and I enjoyed every sip of it. And again, just start. Because you don't know what's gonna happen with this, right? When I first started, I thought I was only gonna do interviews. That was it, right? I'm good at doing interviews. I've done public speaking, like that's great. But then a strange thing happened when I started doing this was that I decided on a whim to do a solo show. And I just was like riding one day and I was like thinking about a topic and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna like just talk about it. Well, hot damn. That episode skyrocketed. And I was so shocked, right? Because it was not even in my mind like that was even going to be something of interest to anybody. And now it ends up that, what was an interview show is now becoming more about like personal vlogging because that's what I've gotten as a response. And like people are much more interested in that. Even though I have to say the interviews are amazing. And there is one with Mr. Bill Dutcher that has done quite well and is quite interesting. And says a lot about his life, which is fascinating. He'll sign autographs after. And other things that happened is that, Honda gave me this motorcycle to ride this weekend. And, I did mention that I had ties from doing my journalism work before I even got into this. But a lot of magazines are dying. So like I kind of moved with the times, right? And got into the video and stuff. So Honda, this is like one of the perks, right? Honda's like, okay, I call them up. I go, hey, I'm going to this rally. Do you have anything that's fitting for the rally? And they so kindly gave this to me to ride up here. I went to Laconia and for the first time I was gonna ride Harleys and I called up Honda and I said, hey, Honda, I'm going up to test ride Harleys. And they're like, oh no, we'll definitely get you a bike. And they gave me a cruiser, which was the Honda Shadow. So there's, you don't know where this is going to lead. I've had other YouTubers contact me and then be like, hey, we like your content. We think you're cool. Maybe you'll think we're cool. Do you want to like hang out and be cool? And I'm like, all right, cool. So I've gone out and done some like really nice, fun events that I would never have had the experience of doing, nor the contact. And I wouldn't have even hung out with those people because they just weren't in my like sphere of riding world. So you never know what's gonna happen. And I just encourage you to like, you got an idea, just start, you'll figure out the tech stuff. And then that's it. That was like the real like, let's get it done, right? Because you got movies to go watch. But does anyone have any questions or like about anything? Yes.
So you said you have 1,000 YouTube subscribers. How many subscribers do you need?
So 1,000. Yeah, so that was like kind of the big milestone, but there were other things that like 500, they allow you to create a store. So I created merchandise, like I'm wearing one of my shirts and I have like hats, stickers and stuff like that. So I was able to do that at 500, but I wasn't able to monetize until 1,000. And you have to have 4,000 watch hours. So the two are not equal. They, in conjunction, are difficult. One might be easier for you than the other, depending. Yeah.
What was your most liked YouTube?
Okay, it was that first solo show I did, although I just did one last week that's really gaining. So it was how to find people to ride with. And kind of a random topic, but again, like I was riding solo and I was thinking about it, and then I did a video about it, and it ends up that a lot of people are trying to find people to ride with, which is probably why you're all here at this event, to find more people to ride with that have a similar interest. And then the second one which is that I said, which is just this past week, which was what not to say to a motorcyclist, which created some controversy because most people were supportive of what I said, but then also some people thought that I was being sexist. So, little controversy never hurts. But I also, in that title, mentioned Doodle on a Motorcycle's Death Wobble, who, if anybody knows her anyway, she's like a well-known YouTuber. She had an accident recently, so I don't know if it was my topic or putting her in my title that gained traction towards my channel. But always a good outcome is like when people said, oh, you know, I found you through this, and now, you know, I like what you said, and I'll follow you.
Is there an ideal length video for like YouTube?
Yes. So this goes back to earlier when I showed the podcast versus the vlog. Well, the podcasts tend to be long. So if you think like Joe Rogan, who I think he still has his videos on YouTube before he went to Spotify, like his can be like, what, 3 or 4 hours? So like we accept that. But what I've realized is that when you look at all your information for your videos are available when you look on the back end of YouTube. So it'll tell me how long people are watching for, like what country they're from, what's their demographic, what's their sex. And I have found that with like the more vlog stuff, because our attention span is getting so bad that people really kind of like, you know, 10 to 12 minutes. I never do 10 to 12 minute videos, like, because as you can tell, I like kind of talk a lot. So I try to edit down, but when I do my interviews, I've shortened them from being like about an hour to like down to about 35 minutes. And then if I do anything vlog style, I'm trying to be between like 15 to 25.
In the videos?
In the videos, yeah. Oh, I think I said podcast, but I meant the YouTube podcast. Because it's harder on the audio platform, it's much harder to see the statistics. YouTube, because they're Google-based, is like all about the statistics and like handing them to you on a platter. So you can really get feedback. It doesn't mean you're always gonna listen, because sometimes I don't, or a lot of times I don't.
Do you like cross with like Instagram and Facebook and all those platforms?
I do. I have limited down to, I don't do TikTok, because I was like, that's just a whole nother beast. So I just do Instagram, YouTube, and then the audio stuff. And
Does everything cross-promote?
it does, like, because Instagram's hooked with Facebook. So like if I do one post, but I've been really bad about not wanting to be on Facebook in the past 5 years. So like I'll post on there, but like I don't even look to see if somebody's responded, which is not great. But Instagram, I'm super active on. And then YouTube for me ended up being the most fun, which I didn't think was going to happen, because you can really see people's comments underneath, and motorcyclists are the most engaged, loving community. I mean, of course, for the haters, I have haters, don't, you know. None of us are immune to that. But it is really remarkable, just like the comments, the paragraphs people write underneath YouTube comments versus Instagram. It's like, you know, an emoji or like a high five. Yeah.
YouTube Shorts.
Yes.
I see that they're normally less than a minute.
Yes, they're changing that to move it up to them being as much as 3 minutes. But really, what I have seen is like the shorter my short, the better. So if I do like a 15-second short, it outperforms something that's closer to a minute.
Yeah, people who hold their phone vertical.
Yeah. Oh, you're wearing the shirt.
You're in a rush.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Send the commission to my Swiss account.
Okay. That's awesome. Does anybody currently have, oh yeah. Yeah.
All the different platforms, content, the posting, do you use any software to like coordinate it and optimize for timing?
Yes and no. So it is, sometimes they speak to each other, sometimes they don't. Right now, because I'm a solo show, meaning like I do all the work myself, it is a solo show, that I try to use some of the scheduling, but they don't always cross, because with video, there's so much that you need to fill out information-wise underneath a post. Like I could post the same thing like on Instagram, in a TikTok, in a short, YouTube short, but if I go outside of that, just doing audio or just doing the video, I can't coordinate it all together. I have to like manually take care of it. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have a show currently? I have a YouTube channel. Oh, that's awesome. What's your YouTube?
Lana Reels.
Say it louder.
Lana on wheels.
Oh, nice. One wheel. All right. So now we all need to follow her. How do you spell Alana?
LA.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Oh yeah, tomorrow you're going to be doing a presentation tomorrow. Oh, that's all right, but but it's all part of it, right? Like it's part of your personal branding to be able to also have your channel.
No, this is more of all of the ways that I had to go through to learn writing.
Oh, okay.
I started much earlier. I started 5 years ago.
Okay, so you did it when you should have, which is there is a lot less competition. But this is my point about getting started, is that just do it, because another 5 years is going to go by. And like, how many people are going to be in YouTube then, right? Like, so if you just start now, you're like already ahead of like the other 1 billion that's going to be on by or within 5 years. So I really cannot stress that enough. Just start with whatever you have. It doesn't have to be fancy.
So, what is the angle that you like to cover DirtDaze? That is near and dear to me. So I'm very anxious to see kind of what angle you'd like to approach how you present DirtDaze.
That's a good question, because on my ride up here, I realized last night that I was scheduled to talk and to give this presentation, and I got really I have a day job, and I got really busy over the past month with my day job. So I didn't really look into complete detail what this rally was about. I knew what DirtDaze was, but I didn't know to the extent that all these happenings were going on. So like when I looked last night, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I have enough time. So I think that the angle, one of the things I want to do is I want to interview people who are here. So if anybody wants to just chat with me for like 5 minutes, especially during the day when the lighting's better, and just kind of talk about your experience, I think that that's like much more interesting to people. And then I wanted to kind of, because I'm using this in the video with Honda. They are not, and we can kind of talk a little bit about sponsorship. They're not telling me anything that I need to do. So whether or not I do show the bike in the video is up to me, but they are so good to me that like I want to, and it's kind of part of me being up here and like what I can and cannot ride, terrain wise. So I'm gonna work it out, and sometimes I have to take all the video and then figure out like what's the story there. But I'll try to do a general idea. Like when I went up to Laconia and did the Harleys, the slant was, it was my first time being on a Harley after 25 years of riding. So it was like that was a very specific angle on that. But this last night kind of like threw me for a loop, because I was like, oh, wait a second. What I thought I was gonna come here and do might not actually happen. It might be something different. Yeah.
I'm a subscriber and I just love the channel, so
Yeah.
we'll see what you do.
Thank you.
What model?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What model Honda is that?
This is the NX 500. So the predecessor to this was the CB 500X.
Is it vertical joint?
Yes. Yep. And it's the same platform as the Rebel and the Scrambler. But, and I was talking to Honda earlier, because I'm like, it feels engine-wise different, and they're going to get back to me if it actually is or not, or if it's just because of the geometry and the setup of this that it feels so different. But I rode up here, there was no numbing. I rode 5 hours, some back, like about an hour on back roads, and then the rest was all throughway.
So you could take it on a tour.
Yeah. And they put 50-50 tires on here. Yeah, I'm gonna go on your tour tomorrow.
Afternoon of
Yep. The Rambler, the New England Rambler? No, Sampler, sorry.
Sampler.
Yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon, Annick's going to join us on
Yep.
the New England Sampler on the New Hampshire side after lunch, so
Yeah, so that should be super fun.
it'd be great to have you. Annick's also swept for me in various capacities in the past, so she also has an XP 250 as well back home.
Yeah, that's the bike I own. Yeah, and then I get the bigger bikes for stuff on the road. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Cool. All right, see you. I can't wait. Yeah, likewise. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor?
Abraham.
Abraham. Nice to meet you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys
appreciate
coming.
what
That's
you
super
do.
cool.
I appreciate what you do for the community, like
Yeah.
pushing more and more content out. It's just,
Trying.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, especially motorcycles.
More and more of it that we can get on there is better, you know.
Yeah, makes it
Gets
more
more
interesting.
and more people into it. So
Awesome.
I appreciate you.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right, I'll see you guys around this week. See you tomorrow. All right, bye, Chris. Yeah,
Nice to meet
such
you.
a pleasure.
A pleasure as well.
Okay. How have you been?
Can't complain. I
No?
dressed
I
for
did.
dinner.
I got to get a picture. Hold
Evening
on.
blacks.
I hope you found that seminar inspiring and that you go out and start your own YouTube channel or podcast, because motorcyclists do very cool things and we get to see the world from a very different perspective on this bike. So whatever you do, just follow your passion. It doesn't even have to be about motorcycles. Maybe it's something that you're just individually passionate about. I also want to say that I'm available to speak at your next event, whether that's a motorcycle related event or it could also be corporate or wellness retreat. I can gear the talk to whatever your event is focused on. Please like and subscribe so other people can find the FÉROCE Podcast. And if you'd like to stay in the know, join our mailing list and get 10% off your first purchase of FÉROCE apparel. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, you can donate at Buy Me a Coffee. Ride smart. Ciao.